I'm Jenny. Standing in the opulent lobby of my father's investment firm, I can't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. 14 months ago, I left this very building with a rejected proposal and a heavy heart. Now, I'm back, but this time, I'm the one with the power. The receptionist looks at me in shock as I stride towards the elevators. Miss Jenny, I didn't know you had a meeting scheduled. I shake my head. I don't. Is my father in? She nods. Yes, but he's with a client. I'll wait, I say, sitting down in the same chair where I waited with my rejected proposal all those months ago. As I sit there, I can't help but think about how far I've come. I remember the day I presented my proposal to my father and brother, Jake. I'd spent 3 months working on it, pouring my heart and soul into it. But they didn't even give it a chance. They dismissed it as a bunch of buzzwords and wishful thinking. I grew up in a wealthy family in New York City. My father, Richard, is a successful investment banker who built his firm from the ground up. He's a hard-working and driven man, but he's also very traditional. He believes that success comes from following a certain path, getting a degree from a top-tier university, working your way up the corporate ladder, and building a reputation in the industry. My brother, Jake, is 34 years old. He's been working at my father's firm for 10 years and has managed portfolios worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's always been the golden child, the one who meets my father's expectations. I, on the other hand, have always been a bit of a rebel. I graduated from Stanford with a degree in computer science. Instead of going into a traditional corporate job, I spent my time coding in my apartment, working on various projects. I had big dreams of starting my own tech company, but my family never believed in me. That day in my father's office, I sat in the least expensive chair, while Jake sat in the leather throne next to my father. I presented my idea for data stream analytics, a predictive algorithm for data analysis. But Jake cut me off before I could even finish. We read the summary. It's all just buzzwords. This is garbage, he said dismissively. My father, too, didn't even look up from the document. Jenny, I've been in this business for 30 years. I've seen thousands of pitches. This isn't going anywhere, he said. I tried to explain that I'd spent 4 years developing the algorithm and had run it against real market data. But they wouldn't listen. They said I had no credibility, no business experience, and no successful ventures. They told me to get a real job, an entry-level position, and work my way up. I left the office that day feeling defeated. But I also knew that I couldn't give up. I had already incorporated my company, Data Pulse Analytics, 6 months ago. I had secured $250,000 in angel funding from a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. 3 major hedge funds were already beta testing my algorithm, and the results were better than anything on the market. I decided to prove them wrong. I spent the next few months working day and night. I responded to emails from my investors, reviewed code with my development team, and finalized contracts with new clients. One day, I got a call from the CEO of a mid-size hedge fund, Alpha Capital. They'd been beta testing my algorithm for 8 weeks and had seen a 25% improvement in their predictive accuracy, generating an additional $45 million in returns in just over a month. They wanted to integrate Data Pulse across all their portfolio management systems and were willing to pay a premium of $6 million for 6 months of exclusivity. Over the next few months, Data Pulse Analytics grew rapidly. By the 4th month, I had 15 major clients. By the 6th month, the algorithm's performance was exceeding even my own projections. Hedge funds using Data Pulse were seeing accuracy improvements between 20% and 33%. I took second-round funding of $150 million from a consortium of venture capital firms and a third-round funding of $130 million 4 months later. My ownership stake remained at 72%, and Data Pulse's valuation hit $2.6 billion. I still lived in my $2,500 a month apartment and drove my 8-year-old Toyota because I wanted to see how long it would take my family to notice. It took 14 months. I was at a Sunday dinner at my parents' Long Island estate when Jake brought up an article in the Financial Times about a new analytics company making waves in the hedge fund world. There's this company called Data Pulse Analytics. They've got an algorithm that's actually delivering on the hype, he said. My father looked interested. Data Pulse? Haven't heard of them. Jake pulled out his phone and scrolled through the article. They're projecting $600 million in revenue this year for a company that's barely 18 months old. What's their secret? I kept eating my dinner, trying to stay calm. My mother smiled at me. Jenny, this sounds like the kind of thing you were interested in. Didn't you have a proposal about data analysis? I nodded quietly. My father suggested, you should look into working for them. A company like that growing that fast will need good people. Jake snorted. Dad, they're not going to hire Jenny. Companies like DataPulse want people with elite credentials, Ivy League grads who've worked at big tech companies, not someone who's been freelancing for the last year. I set down my fork. How do you know I've been freelancing? Jake shrugged. What else would you be doing? You're not working anywhere, not in grad school. You're just around. I left the dinner early, saying I had work to do. That night, I approved DataPulse's IPO filing. It was scheduled for 3 weeks later, on a Friday morning. I'd be ringing the opening bell at the NYSE. The night before the IPO, I had dinner with my family at their favorite French restaurant in Manhattan. My mother said, Jenny, your father and I are concerned about your future. You're not getting any younger, and your lack of career progress is worrying. Jake nodded. We think you need professional help, like career counseling or therapy to work through whatever's blocking you from moving forward. I took a sip of water. I could have told them about DataPulse, about the IPO happening in 12 hours, and about the fact that by this time tomorrow, I'd be one of the youngest self-made billionaires in technology. But I didn't. I've been working on projects, I said. Jake laughed. Right. More business proposals that will never go anywhere. My father sighed. Jenny, please take this seriously. We're offering to help, to pay for counseling and use our connections to get you interviews, but you have to meet us halfway. I nodded slowly. You're right. I should be more realistic. I've actually been thinking about making some changes, big changes. My father looked interested. What kind of changes? I said, I'll tell you tomorrow, after the market opens. The next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. I showered, dressed in a custom-made navy suit, and took a car service to the NYSE. The building was already buzzing with activity. My CFO met me in the lobby, grinning. Ready to become very publicly wealthy? I smiled. Ready as I'll ever be. At 9:30 a.m. Sharp, I stood on the NYSE platform and rang the opening bell. Cameras flashed, journalists shouted questions, and the digital displays showed DataPulse's ticker symbol lighting up. The price climbed rapidly. By 9:45 a.m. DataPulse Analytics had a market capitalization of $7.5 billion. My 72% stake was worth $5.4 billion. My phone started buzzing with texts, calls, and emails, but I ignored them all except one, a news alert from the Financial Times. DataPulse Analytics IPO surges 38% in first 15 minutes. Founder Jenny Smith, now worth $5.4 billion. I took a car service to my father's office. When I walked in, my father and Jake were in the office, looking at the Bloomberg terminal. Jake turned to me slowly. There's a company that went public this morning, DataPulse Analytics. I heard the founder is named Jenny Smith. I said lightly, common name. My father's voice was sharp. Jenny, what's going on? Jake finally turned to face me. Tell me this isn't you. I paused. Actually, that's a lie. It is me. The silence in the office was deafening. My father grabbed my phone and stared at the article. His face turned red and then white. This can't be real. I said, it's real. You can check the NYSE listings or any financial news outlet. Data Pulse Analytics is the biggest IPO of the quarter. Jake sank back into his chair. The algorithm you showed us, that was Data Pulse. I nodded. Yes. And I already had funding. I had $250,000 from angel investors. I was looking for family support, for you to believe in me, but you didn't. My father said, we didn't know. I replied, you didn't want to know. You read 5 pages of my proposal and dismissed it as buzzwords. You judged me based on your assumptions, not my actual capabilities. My father said, let us fix this. Let us invest now. I shook my head. Data Pulse doesn't need your investment. We're fully funded. Jake ran his hands through his hair. This is insane. You've been sitting at family dinners listening to us give you career advice while you're running a multi-billion-dollar company. I said, because I wanted you to see me, not my bank account or my credentials. I wanted to see how you'd treat someone you thought was beneath you. My mother walked in, her face pale. Jenny, baby, why didn't you tell us? I said, because you wouldn't have listened. You never listen. You tried to make me fit your definition of success, and when I didn't, you decided I was the problem. A knock on the door. My father's assistant said, there are journalists in the lobby. They're asking to speak with Jenny Smith. I said, tell them no comment. I have a PR team handling all media inquiries. My father still held my phone, looking at it as if it would change. Jenny, I don't know what to say. I said, you don't need to say anything. I just wanted you to know before you saw it on the news, before clients started asking if you were related to me. Jake finally spoke, his voice small. The proposal I called garbage was worth billions. And I told you to stick to entry-level work. I said, it's fine, Jake. You were honest about what you thought of me. My father said, we made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I said, you can't fix it. You can only learn from it. I need to go. I have meetings with institutional investors this afternoon, and I'm speaking at a conference about AI in finance next week. As I left the office, I thought about the journey. I built something extraordinary, not because of my family's support, but in spite of their dismissal. And that was more valuable than any apology. Later that day, my head of PR called me. Jenny, your father's firm issued a statement claiming they were instrumental in supporting Data Pulse's early development. I was furious. Issue a correction. Make it clear that Data Pulse received no funding or support from them. Include the timeline of my rejected proposal 14 months ago. That evening, the correction went live. The narrative shifted from a supportive family helping a daughter succeed to a family rejecting a daughter's proposal and the daughter building a billion-dollar company. Social media exploded, and think pieces appeared about family dynamics, gender bias in investment, and the importance of believing in unconventional paths to success. A week later, my father came to my office. He looked smaller, older. Jenny, thank you for seeing me. I'm not here to apologize. I know words can't fix what we did. I'm here to tell you that you were right. We didn't listen, we didn't see your potential. I looked at him and felt nothing but a quiet certainty. Thank you for saying that, but it doesn't change anything. He said, I'm proud of you, even though I have no right to be. You succeeded in spite of us. After he left, I sat at my desk, looking out at the city. My phone buzzed with notifications. I had a bright future ahead, and I was ready to face it on my own terms.